What is up, guys? Jonathan George here and Shiloh Webb. This is Inner Matter Presents Unleash Your Rockstar, and we are coming into schools, shifting things and making a gigantic transformation in the education system, going from the inside out, from the top to the bottom, working with educators, counselors, admin specialists, all the way down to the students in mental health, social and emotional learning, burnout, workload fatigue, achievement results, stress responses, high performance habits, and identity crisis. We have a major issue, Shyla, in our schools. And, just for you guys listening, I'm out here in Los Angeles in the entertainment industry working with, my clients have over 150 million online followers. And I had somebody come up to me and talk to me about their child who had just committed suicide, saying, Jonathan, we need what you're teaching in our schools. And I began to look at things and started doing research. And I was like, what is going on? We've got, when you look at, when social media popped out, anxiety, depression, suicide rose 37%. That was 2016. We're in 2021, and I can guarantee you we're in the 70%. And so when I met Shyla, I was like, Shyla, let's team up. And, Shyla, I would love for you to introduce yourself to people and just give a little bit of background about you and why I want to work with you so much.
Well, thank you. I'm super excited that we crossed paths and that we're partnering up for this program as well. So I'm located in central Minnesota area, and I was a special education teacher, primarily working with students with emotional behavioral disorders. Paraprofessional, started out there, and then even ended up as an administrator. Throughout those years, 23 years of education, I ended up burning out a couple times. And when I went into becoming a special ed teacher, I was told that the burnout rate would be within 5 years. Working primarily with students with emotional behavioral disorders, I wouldn't last longer than that. And sure enough, about my third year in, I completely hit rock bottom. Got in my car, ugly sobbed in the parking lot, and ended up driving 30 minutes past my exit on my way home. I was just so wrapped up in the day and all the stressors that were happening. And it was at that point I knew that I needed to make a change in order to last. It was my dream career. It was what I wanted to do. And it was what I showed up to do. And I felt like I had been wanting to be a teacher since a little child. And so these were the shoes that I was meant to fill. And so I went on and continued on in education and experienced burnout one more time. But at that time, I finally overcame it and found some skills and tools, the right tools that helped me combat it and stay in the field. So I resigned as an administrator just to help more teachers with the burnout. As an administrator, I was stretched way too thin, working 50, 60 hours a week in the work of administration, and couldn't serve the teachers in the way that they really needed to be served in the area of self-care and that mental health piece.
We're going through a massive pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, before the pandemic, 78% of teachers reported feeling physically and emotionally exhausted. 61% of teachers reported that their jobs were always or often stressful. 58% cited poor mental health as a result of that stress. And so you think about, and here's the catch, is that there's a proven link between teacher burnout and student disengagement.
Yep.
Again, leadership. It starts with our leaders. It starts with our leadership. And if our leaders are completely burned out, how can you really step into that role as an impactful educator? And unfortunately today, educators are like therapists. You didn't sign up for it.
No.
You're a therapist. And so this is what I'm so excited about, is that, I do have an education degree. I build personal brands for entrepreneurs, celebrities, influencers. Again, like I said, my clients have over 150 million online followers, and I'm all about building somebody up holistically from a very empowered, knowing yourself kind of place.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I've been coming in California here, I've been coming into the schools, helping them work through the social media issues to help kids know how to navigate that in a powerful way, how to utilize it powerfully. And so, you know, when you've got the statistics on kids is unbelievably near 1 in 3 of all adolescents has an anxiety disorder. Suicide is the second leading cause of death, ages 10 to 24. Then you think about anxiety, depression, and suicide have increased. Again, we were talking about that increased rate when social media came out. And it all comes down to identity issues. And also with those identity issues, you're piling on teachers who are completely out of control, are literally just burned out, fatigued, can't show up. How can you show up powerfully when you're exhausted? And the mental health issues that you're going through. You cannot show up powerfully. And so you've got 75% of high schoolers and 50% of middle schoolers, we're talking about babies, describe themselves as often or always feeling stressed by schoolwork. Shyla, I don't know about you, but I didn't experience that. And I had an incredible education. Mm-hmm. We didn't spend all day in our noses in the books.
No.
We played, we had a life, we lived, we could enjoy our families, we could do incredible things. That has completely changed.
Yeah, somewhere with all the federal and state mandates, we've lost that. We've lost that that love of learning and that ability to play through our learning experience. And I think that it is my mission and your mission to bring that back into education. And even with the professional development, teachers need to come and learn. And I know as a teacher, I sat in so many sessions where I got a break every 2 hours. It was 15 minutes. Hurry up, get a snack, connect with others, and use the restroom, and need to be back in your seat. And a pile of paperwork that came along with it. And it was so overwhelming, and there was so much dumped on me. And it was just like taught to me, not really even, sometimes it was that, okay, let's talk and turn and share out. And then beyond that, it was like, okay, now go back and implement. And we had these grand ideas. Teams were there together. We were spending all day long, lots of money. We were learning, left to go back and implement in our buildings, only to be overwhelmed by the day-to-day demands that we had as administrators, leaders, or teachers. And so while the whole idea was great to come back and implement, we had a plan, just finding the actual time and the energy to be able to do that on top of all the day-to-day stuff was just way too much and overwhelming. Yeah. And so I'm super excited about our program and just helping students come out and be the best that they are, as well as teachers, and thrive off of their strengths versus continuously focusing on the weaknesses. Somewhere in education, we started doing that along the way too. And I think it's when federal and state mandates started holding us accountable for kids not achieving, right? So then we started looking at teachers. Teachers are not achieving. Did you know in education that students and teachers get 15 criticisms to 1 positive feedback?
That's insane.
Yeah.
Like, there's not one single human being that can handle that.
No, you just feel beat down.
If you're in a corporate office, if you are working at McDonald's, if you are on the playing field, when I'm telling you this is that, like, we're all built the same. I mean, I've been doing talent development for 17 years before going full time into personal branding. Mm-hmm. My kids are superstars. I mean, I just had 2 on American Idol on Monday, right?
You're developing true rock stars.
Like true rock stars. Like Unleash Your Rock Star really comes from this building up of, and I did this all out of holistic beings, right? Mm-hmm. People who are really powerful, not like mentally messed up, but powerful human beings doing incredible things in this world, doing incredible things to make a difference, right? And so when you're looking for high performance out of somebody, you have to play to the strengths. So with the teachers as well, and let's get real. I honestly don't think that that most teachers have gone through self-development aspects or social emotional learning. Some people do that are high achievers.
Yeah.
Let's get real. Most teachers are graduating college. They're going straight in to start teaching so that they can pay back those loans. They're getting married, starting families, and it's just too much to even be able to do anything. And when you've got that kind of level, the teachers don't know how to show up in a world where it's so stressful. Let's talk about these numbers. Over 270,000 teachers and educators leave education every year.
Mm-hmm.
That is over 250,000. I just thought about that. Over 250,000 teachers and educators, principals. You and I just got off of a Zoom call with a doctor, principal in the field, 23 years, who was completely burned out, fried, and left.
Yep.
And I was like, we can't be losing our talent like this. And it costs how much does it cost us a year? I think it's $6.75 billion to replace the teachers is really what, at the end of the day, when you kind of calculate that what is it, like $9,000 to $25,000 to replace each one of those?
Yep. Depending on the size of the district and the onboarding process, those are huge costs, but even cost alone, the impact that it has on student achievement, any of that staff turnover, or even just a leave of absences are higher than ever due to mental health. The Family Medical Leave Act is being used more than ever. Even early retirements, all of that affects student achievement and overall morale of a team. It disrupts the harmony within a team and even within a building. So we need to really talk about the student or teacher attrition rate, and it's on the rise. So all of these stats are pre-COVID. Now that we have COVID, we know that it's much higher, but we haven't had enough studies or enough participants to say exactly what these new stats are updated to be solid enough to report out. But I can say I was just online with a principal yesterday and asked, how's your year going? And she said, it is the toughest it's ever been. She's been a principal for 8 years, and she said for the first time she has thought about resigning and had a cry fest with her leadership team, and they all felt the same way. They just feel exhausted, depleted. They know they need help and even scrambling to identify what they need help with. And so if they themselves, right, can't identify what they need help with, how in the world are we going to be able to step in and help a student and help them identify what they need help with? So it is time to say we can't do this alone. We need teams, and we need outsiders to come in with that fresh perspective to really get in and help the movement happen, help the transformation that needs to happen. We already have what we need.
Yeah.
We have it right there in front of us, within us. We don't need another program. We don't need another curriculum. I just want to say that we need a program that supports what we already have going on, right? And to bring those strengths out, but we don't need to purchase another whole extensive social emotional curriculum. And that's what I think is happening. We continue to invest in all these higher programs, and it falls on a teacher to be able to read a manual and implement and find that additional time, and we just don't have it anymore. And so that's why I'm so excited to do the work with you, Jonathan, because we come in and it's super interactive. It's playful. Teachers want it. They want more of it. Actually, my contracts have all developed because I come in for 2 to 3 hours and they're like, we want you back for the rest of the year because it was so meaningful. And they got to learn about themselves. And once we start learning about ourselves, we really, really understand students. We can't understand anyone else until we know ourselves inside and out.
100%. And it is literally, when did we lose the fun in changing, right? Like the best growth happens when you're having a fun time. Mm-hmm. But work does have to happen, you know what I mean, as we all know, right? It's consistency, it's working. But what I'm excited is that we created a full year long program to support the culture in the schools, to completely shift it and change it.
Yeah.
A year-long program, and we're talking about just like fun stuff to help change that entire culture. What I was saying earlier today, you know, like a lot of times these things make you want to, like, you have to tear down walls and buildings and restructure everything. No, we're talking about being like water flooding in and just letting it infiltrate into all the corners and just like make it a fun slip and slide the whole entire way. Put some soap in that baby and be like, woo, party, you know, we got like, but really create something that's incredible, that's so powerful, that we are creating from the top all the way down to our children. Because here's the thing, 36.5% of our students in US middle schools and high schools have suffered from cyberbullying. That's also an outdated percentage, right? Mm-hmm. That's an outdated, we haven't seen a current one. Bullying affects 1 in 5 American students. 46% of 41 school shooter suspects were victims of bullying themselves. And that should never happen. When I taught school, it didn't happen. I led my students to know better, to stand up for people, to be able to do different things. But I didn't have the stress that our teachers have today. It was a different world. I taught, I mean, that was almost 30 years ago. You know what I mean? Like things have completely shifted and changed. And just so you understand, like I have been speaking in schools for 20 years, going into the school districts, working with the school districts, you know, bringing in talent to really amp people up, get people excited, to help on the student end, because I'm so driven about the students and you're so driven about the teachers. And we have
the administrators.
Administrators, yes. And I mean, all the way from the top to the bottom. And we have created such a magical thing, and you know, creating these workshops, creating professional development, ongoing coaching and support, district keynotes, student assemblies, and just, man, coming in here and just making a huge impact. And so I really, you know, as people are coming in here, I just want to remember, like, our belief is that the shift must start with our leaders. It has to start with our leaders. We've got to help with that overwhelm, the exhaustion, the anxiety, the burnout, get them the support that they need. Also get people excited about showing up again. You know, sometimes you just need an incredible team to be like, come on, let's get this, let's go. Come on, we're doing this, to get that momentum going again, right? You know what I mean? Like when you're exhausted and somebody's coming up behind you, be like, come on, you can do it, you can do it. And like giving you the tools that you need, it really changes and shifts how people are showing up. And then those kids start seeing that. It's like parents. You know, I mean, I'm raised in a divorced home. Let me tell you what, that stress of the parents stressed us kids out. It negatively affected us. But man, when they're thriving and doing incredible, we thrived. We did incredible. It's just how it works.
Yeah.
And so again, our transformation should never be stressful or boring. And our future depends on the actions that we take today. And so
absolutely,
I am so excited about, you know, and I do want to, you know, let's talk about your specific licensures, and the word license is as much easier to say, but I mean, we're both grade K through 12 certified. You're special ed. You are licensed in autism spectrum disorders, specific learning disabilities, emotional behavior disorders. We're
Yep.
both. I've got a master practitioner's license in social and emotional intelligence, neurolinguistic programming, which rewires how you think, and life coaching. Both of our experiences. Well, you're paraprofessional, a teacher, administrator, both coaches, both social media. I'm a social media specialist, a personal branding specialist, helping people step into their identity, understanding how powerful you are. Because when you understand yourself, you understand other people. You're more accepting and loving of other people.
Yeah.
And I was so bullied as a kid. I was bullied for being the creative kid with jazz fingers, and the gay kid. And I was so beat down and so like literally, not physically beat down, but emotionally.
Emotionally.
And I was the popular kid. I was the senior class president. I was the varsity cheerleader. I was, I was like super involved. But man, did I think about anxiety, talk about anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And if I thought that, and I was the popular kid, I cannot imagine what that little kid in the corner who has zero confidence is going through. And here's one thing that I know is that when because I'm a huge dog lover as well. To me, training is training. And when you feed into the greatness in somebody and you start pulling out the greatness, that's what they start concentrating on. They want more of that. You start pulling that out. Let's do this. And then it just like creates this incredible energy, this great ball of energy. Little dogs, man, when you say good boy, good girl, right? Let me give you a treat. Man, they want to do it again. They want to do it again.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And it was really funny when I taught that I was given some really difficult kids because, it's like Jonathan can handle the difficult kids because I had a strong personality. You know what? I never had one issue with those kids. Mm-hmm. Actually, they became the most active. They became like the best leaders. And it was just because somebody believed in them.
Yeah.
Pull out these special things in them for them to see themselves, and they're like, oh, well, Mr. G that's what they call me. Mr. G thinks this of me. It must be true. Oh, Mr. G just said something great about me. Let me do that again.
You probably gave the more positives versus the one, because it's supposed to be 5 positives to 1 criticism. And we all know this, but it's much harder to do. We have to be mindful and intentional about giving that. I think too, Jonathan, that knowing you and the heart-centered approach that you take is that you probably pulled out of them who they really are and help them learn that and be comfortable with that as they were. And I think that's what we're missing. Most schools have a good, well-developed PBIS system, that positive behavior intervention support, where they are supposed to be intentional about rewarding the expected behavior. But it goes beyond that, is what we're saying. And I can just attest, a few years ago as an administrator, I had been called into a situation, special education kids were involved. There had been ongoing bullying between these kids as well as the family for years. And I came in and did that personal knowledge work, that personal development work. We talked about values. What are your values? Who are you? Who are you? And I said, if we're going to meet as administrators, I want all the families in one room. And it was like, what? We're not doing that. And I said, we're going to do that. And we'll do it under my guidance. So it's not this toxic positivity. So I want to be clear about that, because it's not coming in rah, rah, rah. It is also a restorative piece. So we have to learn who we are. And all of these hiccups are learning opportunities. But we also have to restore the damage that has been done, and being able to talk about that and acknowledge it as it is, but using our strengths to help move it forward in a healthier way.
And our teachers must know their strengths. Our educators must know their strengths. Our admins must know their strengths to know how to lead in that. They also have to understand the weaknesses and be able to be, hey, this is my weakness. Who can take care of this, right? Yeah. Because then it allows everybody to step up into their power, to step up into the greatness, and it eliminates that toxicity. It scales it down to a minimal, right? And so I'm just really excited about what we're doing and the shift that we've already experienced in schools. But we have joined forces to be so powerful for these school districts and for our children, and to be creating something that we both know way too well ourselves, and what is going on among our youth, among our educators, and I'm excited. So I really want to invite everybody to dive deep into what we're doing. You can go to innermatter.net, innermatter.net, and come in. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation how we can serve your school, how we can make the shift and the change all the way from that top to the bottom with minimal, with it's not like hours upon hours of work. We're talking about fun, exciting things that you implement, you just do, you create this culture that is so powerful, and it's based on science. It's based on something that's art. It's not something that's a woo-woo situation. No, this is real life, and this is not something new either. And today we're talking about this, that we are stepping into a world where social media is not going anywhere. Online is not going anywhere. It's only going to expand and get bigger and bigger. It is one of the greatest gifts, but like with any great gift, it can become our greatest downfall. So we have to know how to show up powerfully and how to make it ours. We have to take ownership of it and make it work for us in today's world. And so it's just understanding it and shifting it and learning how to use this tool to create here and make this tool over here to make an amazing generation. Our Gen Z cannot be lost. Our Gen Z have to come up so powerfully. And then that next generation is going to come up more powerfully. And so I want people to join up with us and to join this movement, because as we're not just creating this for one school, we are working to create an entire movement and change, because we want to see it on a national level, not just on a little podunk level. We want to see this on a grand scale. So please join us. Shyla, I'm so excited for people to learn your brilliance and your genius, and to be able to experience you and all that you do, and for the impact that we're going to create in these schools on a massive level.
Likewise, I'm super excited to join forces, and so glad that we can offer this out there to many schools all around across the United States and beyond. So let's do this.
All right. Unleash your rock star on campus. We're coming to you. We're coming for your school. We are coming in to make a change and a difference. So join the movement, and we will see you. Follow Inner Matter and Unleash your rock star, because we're coming after you. All right. Take care.